This tutorial will teach you how to curl your own hair. It gives you a step-by-step guide to independently doing this and gives you some ideas on how to make the process a little bit easier. I want you to watch the demonstration video as many times as you need to in order to understand what you are going to be doing. Take a minute to imagine what you look like while completing each step. Making a mental picture of yourself doing an activity helps your brain and body work together to make it happen. Give yourself lots of time to learn. This will get easier with practice. Remember, it's okay if your hair doesn't look perfect. You're learning. You can practice difficult steps individually. Also, it may help to say what you're doing out loud. For example, talk yourself through this step like this. First, I need to brush my hair, then I can put it into sections. Most of all, have fun and give yourself lots of praise for trying something new and difficult. Let's get your workspace ready. First of all, make sure your work area is clean and distraction-free. By cleaning your area, you remove anything that can distract you and you prevent items from being burned. We need to be safe since the curling iron gets hot. If it were to touch something like toilet paper, or paper towels, or a hand towel, it could cause some burns and start a fire. So we need to make sure we're being very safe. Next, I want you to actually plug in the curling iron and then turn it on so it can start heating up while you get started on the next steps. In order to be organized, I want you to find all of the necessary supplies and put them in the area you're going to be curling your hair. This area should be in front of a mirror that is large enough for you to see what you're doing and near an outlet where the curling iron is plugged in. You will need a hairbrush, hairspray, and then 2 hair clips. The ones with the little claws on them seem to work the best. Let's get started. First thing, you want to make sure your hair is dry. Curling irons do not work on wet hair. And then brush your hair so that it is smooth and tangle-free. You are going to separate your hair into 3 separate sections. You're going to use the hair clips to hold the top 2 sections out of your way. Don't worry if this is a little bit messy. It doesn't matter how it looks. The whole idea is just to leave that bottom section free so you can start curling. Let's get to know your curling iron. They all look a little bit different but have these same basic parts. A barrel, which is the part that heats up. Sometimes they're silver or another color like this one in the picture. They'll have a handle that you use to open and close the clamp that will hold your hair in place. There's going to be an on and off switch, a cord to plug into the wall, and then there's going to be a dial to turn the heat up or down. Generally speaking, if you have thick, coarse hair, you'll need a hotter temperature to curl your hair than if you have thinner, fine hair. If you are unsure of how hot the curling iron should be, this is a great question to ask your mom or a friend. It's time to start curling our hair. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that very bottom section that we have just hanging down is brush smooth so that everything's nice and ready to go. And then we're going to start by clamping 2-inch sections of hair into the curling iron, then rolling them up. To clamp your hair into the iron, you use your thumb to push the handle, which will open the clamp, and use your other hand to put the 2-inch section of hair inside of the clamp. Hold the barrel facing up towards the ceiling and roll your hair onto it. I promise this will make more sense when you see the video. This is a step that I recommend practicing with a cold curling iron until you get the hang of it and feel comfortable using a hot curling iron. After you've rolled that section of hair up, you let it sit for about 5 seconds to get nice and warm, and then you release the curl. While you're starting, I don't want you to hold it in there for too long because I don't want you to burn your hair. So if you count to 5, like 1 alligator, 2 alligator, 3 alligator, 4 alligator, 5 alligator, and then let go, you won't burn your hair. And I want you to make sure that you get the entire bottom section. Don't leave any pieces that are straight. The top picture here shows Arwen brushing out the bottom section in order to start curling, and the picture to the right shows her curling 2-inch pieces of hair from the bottom section. Now that you've finished with that first section of hair, we're going to release the middle section from the clip and gently brush it out to remove any tangles. We're going to repeat the process that we just went through and curl 2-inch pieces of hair until all the hair in this section is curled. Keep in mind it's easier to have a plan and maybe start on one side of your head and move systematically to the other side rather than taking sections to curl at random. Once you've finished curling that middle section, go ahead and release the top section from the clip and brush it out to remove any tangles. You're going to repeat the same steps as before by curling 2-inch pieces until all the hair in this section has been curled. Just keep in mind that this is the part people are going to see the most, so maybe spend a few extra minutes on it so that it looks nice. Once you're finished curling that top section, use a mirror to check and see if you missed any strands of hair. Just look for some long straight pieces or some curls that just don't look quite right, and go ahead and fix those. You are almost done. Use your fingers to gently comb through the curls that you've already made to separate them. And then you can spray a light layer of hairspray over your whole head if you'd like, in order to help keep the curls in place longer. And then it's just time to clean up. Unplug your curling iron so that it can start cooling down, and put away your supplies so you don't leave a big mess. You did a great job. Here's an example of what the process looks like. Today we're going to learn how to curl our own hair independently. I'm going to give a step-by-step tutorial on how to accomplish this, and my daughter will practice what we learn. The first step today is we want to have a nice clean area so that we don't have distractions to sidetrack us. So for what we're doing today, we just need a curling iron, hairspray, hair clips, and a brush. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to section our hair off so that we have smaller bits of hair to work with. So we're going to take this first top chunk and put it in a clip. We need to make sure that our hair is clean and dry before we do this though, and that we've run a brush through it so it's nice and tangle free. So there's our top layer. Here's our middle layer. I have way more hair than most people, so this is a little bit challenging for me, but for my daughter it will be a lot easier. And then this bottom layer. So we're going to start with this bottom layer. We're going to make sure it's nice and brushed. And then to curl it, we'll take the curling iron, and this is just a traditional curling iron with the little button press. We'll take about a 1 to 2 inch section. Clip it inside of the curling iron, pull it all the way down, and roll it all the way up. We'll let it sit for a couple seconds, release the curl, and then take another section about that size. The bigger the sections, the looser your curls will be. Curling the second layer, and now I'm going to let down this top layer. This is the one that we'll want to pay the most attention to because it's the one people will see the most. So I'm going to do the same thing, just brush it out, make sure it looks nice and smooth, and then take my curling iron with the barrel up and start taking little 2 inch sections and curling all the way around this layer as well. It works better when your curling iron is on. So you might want to periodically check to make sure it hasn't automatically turned off like mine just did. So that's one of those other things, the little things that we're going to have to pay attention to here. Let's talk a little bit about practice. This is a lot to learn all at once. You can start by practicing individual steps. For example, you can start by just brushing your own hair. And once you get good at that, you can practice putting sections of your hair into the clips. Do the steps you feel comfortable with. Then have an adult or friend help you with the rest. In no time, you'll be doing this all by yourself. This video demonstrated the skill of hair curling from beginning to end. Forward chaining is a way to learn a new skill where the child will complete the first step, then an adult will complete the remaining steps. The next time they practice, the child may do the first 2 steps of a process, then the adult will finish up. Essentially, it's a way to learn small parts of a skill without completing the process, which may be overwhelming. Each time the child makes an attempt, they will do more on their own until they have learned the whole process. Backward chaining works the same way, but the child will start by finishing the process. For example, to backward chain hair curling, the adult would do everything but combing out the curls and spraying with hairspray for the first time. The next time, the child may spray with hairspray, comb out the curls, and help actually create the last few curls of the style. Often backward chaining is successful because the child gets the feeling of accomplishment associated with finishing a task. Steps can also be practiced out of context if they are particularly hard for the child. Be sure to give praise when the child attempts a new skill. This will help make them want to try again, even if the end product is not what you're hoping to be. Make sure the child knows you're proud they tried. Give the child feedback. Make suggestions like, it will work better if you did this, or hold it this way. And then encourage them to practice. The more they practice, the more automatic the skill will become. As the mother of 2 preteen girls, I understand how nerve-wracking it is to teach them how to use a tool that is capable of hurting them. But at the same time, it is a normal thing for them to want to learn. Their friends may be starting to curl or straighten their own hair, and it is a social expectation for them to start to do the same. As caregivers, we need to understand that taking an interest in self-care activities is a normal part of development and may also be a social activity for children, mostly girls, who may enjoy practicing hairstyles on each other and learning from each other.